So depending on timing, this should be going up on the channel either before or after the latest re-upload, probably third at last count of the compiled Really That Bad Batman v Superman 5th anniversary compilation episode, depending on what Warner Brothers takedowns. We're doing this one semi off the cuff from some notes, trying to get this out as quick as possible about the James Gunn DC Slate announcement. Going to have some more items coming up, including a more traditional big picture episode, and we're also putting together a compilation of the entire run of Big Picture and In Bob We Trust episodes, essentially comprising all or almost all of the episodes that were produced over the entire decade, almost a decade, depending on how you want to cut it, run of the existence of the now defunct DC Extended Universe, Snyderverse, whatever you want to call it, as a full retrospective on the making, unmaking, collapse of a failed cinematic universe. That should be fun, interesting, right? Basically is a way to say, hey, look what I wasted a decade of my life doing, and also a way to say, hey, Warner Brothers, if you keep taking down my long videos about your bad work, I will keep producing even longer videos about your bad work. So stay tuned for that. But wanted to get off on some positivity because, hey, you know, James Gunn, always been a big fan of James Gunn. So glad that he's getting to do this. So glad that he's getting to pay off, you know, this whole story that kind of begins with him getting Marvel tricked into firing him by right-wing chuds online. Many of these same chuds basically go on to help kick off. And can we stop pretending that it's not a lot of the same fucking people, by the way, who go off and start the Snyder cult bullshit. That all falls apart. The fire James Gunn thing gets their asses kicked by the rehire James Gunn thing, an actual internet fan campaign run by actual fans. Gets his job back to make Guardians 3, but not before he takes a job for Warner Brothers, makes the Suicide Squad, and they are happy enough with that even though Warner Brothers basically dies out from under him, his career is in a very good place because the reconstituted Warner Brothers picks him up to head the new DC Studios with Peter Safran, and now they're going to do that, and they've announced their slate, and I think it looks pretty interesting. I mean, yes, anything will be better than what they were trying before. It has to be, because what they tried before was a god-awful disaster, to the extent that they followed up the one genuinely great, unequivocally great thing they did in the first wave of things, the Wonder Woman movie, followed that up with one of the worst things anyone's done in the genre in Wonder Woman 84.
What happened to it?
Magic ticket my ass, McBain.
I can't bring people back from the dead.
We're just the people this mind switcher was made for by us.
Wait a minute, Xena can't fly.
Look at me, I'm a kitty. Meow. I renounce my wish.
A lot of unanswered questions about the whole thing, obviously. Aquaman 2, it's coming. We don't know how it is. Don't know what's going to happen after that, but sounds interesting. Who's going to be Batman in that one? Will it matter? Will it not? You know, should you go see it, even though these things are not going to come? You know, that's a stupid question to me. It's fiction. Blue Beetle looks cool. They apparently are very psyched about this one. Shazam 2, you know, it's a shame that Zachary Levi turned out to be a shitbag, but the movie, I thought the first Shazam was great. One of the best things that they've produced. This one looks fun. I hope that works out, and I hope that the next person playing Shazam is also good. Nobody knows what's up with Ezra Miller, obviously. You know, I think I've kind of said my piece about that, and there will be more stuff said in the, re-said in that, the retrospective episode coming. But, you know, that Flash movie is gonna, you know, reboot everything. One thing to pay attention to as these things come out, as they go, because, you know, this is on my mind because I have been re-editing these older episodes, is how many times things came out and were said that everyone was so sure about because they, and myself as well, rereading, you know, headlines and publicist statements and publicity quotes and things said to Variety and The Wrap and Deadline and things that were posted on Twitter and things. Everyone was so sure that they knew exactly what was going on. No, you don't. No, you don't. Look how many times we thought that the Henry Cavill is definitely gone, Henry Cavill is definitely back, and the whole time, like, people basically knew Henry Cavill was out as Justice League was coming out and wrapping up, that was over and done, and we had to go through this dance for like 5 years over and over and over again into the forced cameo in Black Adam, whether or not The Rock was in charge, someone else in charge, and it was all bullshit. So you don't know, because people are coming out and reading, you know, corporate quotes and speaking on behalf of their bosses, people with like agendas and who want things to be true in the fandom press will say things and be sure about them and want to get spread around for clicks and get their traffic up, which I understand. I want my traffic to go up. That's why I'm producing videos about, you know, the DC universe and re-releasing old content in order to boost up the stuff that I really want to do. But like specifically, you're going to see quotes going around where people from these projects talk about the projects that get canceled. Pay attention. There's two people running this thing, James Gunn and Peter Safran. James Gunn gets to go out and give, because he's the guy that everyone likes, the fans love. He has the redemption arc. The redemption arc is the industry apologizing for fucking this guy over and listening to the shitty fans and the good fans getting the good ending. So James Gunn gets to participate in the redemption arc and be the hero and come out and say, I'm gonna give you these awesome things. Here's all these cool projects I got lined up. Here we go, good stuff. Peter Safran, meanwhile, who has an equal share in this project. This is also his baby. He's on the business end of this. James Gunn seems to be being put forth as, like, you know, the creative vision guy on the end of this. Peter Safran is the one who is getting to come out, basically fall on the sword and do the job of, well, yes, actually, we agree with David Zaslav about canceling Batgirl. Our boss has a big smart man brain, and that was a good decision. Because what the fuck else do you expect him to say? Yeah, we're doing this job, we're taking this guy's money, but he's a fucking asshole and he's like, what are you gonna say when asked about your boss in the press? Do you think they're gonna, like, give quote? Really? This is like when they ask people at like Disney about, you know, well, what do you think of the bosses at Disney? They always say that they're smart guys. The only time that you hear about these things when people are openly like rebelling against their boss is when that guy is going to lose his job in a couple months, like Bob Chapek. You know, when everyone rebelled against that guy, when he said, well, actually, I don't think we should stand up for gay rights in Florida. And all of the department's heads said, fuck you, Bob. And then the shareholders said, actually, yeah, fuck you, Bob. And then Bob was fucked out of there. And then Bob Iger took over from that. That's kind of how you knew that job wasn't going to be secure. Okay? Otherwise, yeah, do you expect people in big Hollywood positions to go, you know, F you to the boss and the person? No. So, you know, think about that before you go running to your computer to say, you see, the guys running the DC Studios now agree with us that Batgirl movie should have been canceled, so they're on board with us and based Zaslav to get rid of the woke backer. Use your fucking heads. Anyway, James Gunn's doing this DC Slate. Looks like he's doing what I think people expected, which is a mix of, hey, here's the classic stuff that you knew we were going to do. Here's a Superman movie. Here's a Batman movie. Here's a Wonder Woman thing. No, we are not firing Ezra Miller yet, because, hey, guess what? As well, again, this was something that was talked about in the retrospective episodes that we're going through. Ezra Miller is, as far as I know, checked into actual rehab right now. The Screen Actors Guild will not let you fire someone from a contract while they're checked into, like, treatment. This was something that came up when Ben Affleck was whether or not he was going to be Batman again, and had also entered a program at that time. That's how long ago this was. Yeah, Hollywood is a union town. It's very difficult to remove an actor or a director, a performer from an active contract for like a franchise series while they are in treatment, without the Screen Actors Guild coming for you. Like, it's not impossible, but it's hard. So, like, it would surprise me if Ezra Miller is still the Flash after the Flash movie, but, you know, just for a lot of reasons. But again, use your fucking heads, people. So yeah, but a mix, wow, got off track a bit there. Take two, a lot of cuts in these as always. A mix of things that you know, things that you recognize, and also some batshit weird stuff that feels very much in the James Gunn lane, but not necessarily stuff that's super surprising if you look at the stuff that is like DC fan popular properties. So yeah, okay, cool. Here we go. What are we looking at? Creature Commandos. I'm familiar with it, heard of it. Not super familiar with the property, but it's something that I've always known. Yeah, that sounds cool. If I ever got around to reading it, I'm sure I'd enjoy it. It's basically Monster Squad, but the monsters are the good guys and they fought in World War II. Cool, like it, good idea. Like, I think that's a good idea for me. It's obvious that's why you think James Gunn would want to do this. This is based on a more modernized take on the same thing. It's, like a team of a werewolf, a mummy, a vampire, etc. fighting as soldiers. Cool. The news on this one is that they're leading it up. It's an animated property. It's going to be a series, like a limited series, and that part of the initiative for this new DC Slate is that the animated properties will be integrated with the live action properties. The characters will move back and forth from live action to animation, and where possible, the animated actors and the voice actors will be the same person. I'm skeptical that that's going to work and that they'll hold to that. Live action actors are not necessarily good voiceover actors and vice versa, but we'll see. Waller, unexpected, but hey, Peacemaker was excellent. I love Viola Davis. This is cool. Hey, anything that says part of our slate is Viola Davis gets a series, cool. My take on the character of Amanda Waller in the DC universe so far, even in the James Gunn Suicide Squad and Peacemaker stuff, is a little mixed, because in the sense, I like Amanda Waller as a character in the comics, in the DC animated universe. I wish the movie version of her was a bit more of the just straight out, flat out corrupt, ball-busting asshole that she is there. I understand why she's not. The comic version is from a different time. She was more of a caricature than a character. There was clearly some grievance there going on with writers having some, for lack of a better word, political caricature fun with the idea of, hey, this government bureaucrat specific type of person being the bad guy that would be a pain in the ass for superheroes and villains to deal with. So I understand why that's been toned down and dialed back a bit for the movies, and she's been made into, if not more of a positive character, less of an over-the-top character. The thing is, I've seen Viola Davis play over the top, and she's very good at it, and I wish that they would let her be a little more over the top and a little bit less of the restrained energy than she has here. Maybe she'll do that here, I don't know. But either way, this should be interesting. By the way, if you have not yet watched Peacemaker, even if you didn't like the Suicide Squad, if you didn't think that was fun, watch Peacemaker. It really is an excellent, excellent piece of show. So yeah, looking forward to this. Superman Legacy. We all knew this was coming. James Gunn is writing a Superman property. Maybe he directs it. We don't know. This is not an origin movie. It's being called a back to basics sort of thing, though. He's already done like a Twitter poll jokingly as to whether or not Superman should wear the trunks again. Yes, he should obviously wear the red trunks again. It looks stupid without them. They're saying not an origin. Like the artwork that they've used to tease it around, even on the official video, was from All-Star Superman, Grant Morrison's book. Maybe they're going in that direction. That's kind of been the go-to for modern retro Superman takes for a while. I think that would be interesting. Honestly, what makes me believe that James Gunn can write a good Superman movie, other than the fact that James Gunn makes good movies, is Peacemaker. James Gunn really if you're going to do classic Superman, if you're not going to reinvent the wheel with it, like the Christopher Reeve movies did, and just say, okay, this is classic Superman, but we're moving it from the 40s into the 70s, what was then the modern era. If you're doing that for now and just say, okay, this Superman is an alien, raised as a Midwesterner, goes to a big city, etc. The thing about Peacemaker is, James Gunn takes what has become a sort of despised, overlooked angle of American culture, this sort of, for lack of a better word, the angry white guy culture in that show, embodied by Peacemaker, by Vigilante, and not necessarily a positive version of that guy, but of a version of that guy that wants to be, that recognizes how to be better and is trying to be. And I think that James Gunn is someone who comes from that milieu, understands it. He is someone who probably could tell a Superman story about a guy from Kansas who is also, this man, god, alien guy that is interesting and modern without being either cloying or revisionist and gloomy and gritty and mean-spirited like the Zack Snyder version was, and also will probably be just a kick-ass superhero movie, because we know James Gunn can do kick-ass superhero writing practically in his sleep from the movies that he's made of it. So ironically enough, a show that the tone of Peacemaker would be very wrong for a Superman movie, but the way that it understands aspects of uniquely American psyche makes me very hopeful about how James Gunn might approach this material. So yeah, very cool stuff. Looking forward to that. Okay, so this is not the previously announced, now no longer moving forward Green Lantern show, which was also going to be a team-up show. This is a, they're calling it a true detective style sci-fi mystery with Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart doing detective work on Earth as, the Green Lanterns are space cops and Earth is their precinct. No green in the title, even though these are two Green Lanterns. That's interesting to me. The pitch is interesting. I like the idea. There's been no creatives lined up for it or whatever. Here's the thing, though. The fact that they're not calling it Green Lantern, they're calling it Lanterns, that is interesting. In the video, James Gunn says this is helping to set up the bigger story they want to tell in the new DC universe. Honestly, I could not think of a better way to seed general concepts for the idea of the existence of a bigger universe than dropping in Green Lantern stuff, because the general idea of the expansive Green Lantern mythology, can't think of a better way to do it than that. Because if you can get audiences to buy into the concept of the Green Lanterns, which is a big if. They've tried it in a movie form before and it was a spectacular failure, but it's an easy concept. If you can get audiences to get on board with space cops, rings that do power stuff, green is bravery and good, yellow is evil and bad. Are there other colors? Yes, there are. And they also do this. And there's other teams. That's a really easy thing for audiences to understand and grab onto and maybe get excited about. And it's something that just kind of immediately blows the bigger universe wide open. It's easy to say, oh, okay, so green is one thing, yellow is another thing. Oh, hey, so wait, are there also red guys and blue guys? Like, are they like the M&Ms or the Power Rangers? Oh, well, actually, yes, red is for anger and indigo is for compassion and white is really good and black is zombies. Like, that's immediately sounds cool, and it's a very quick way, like the Marvel stuff did with the general concept of the Infinity Stones, where they could just throw shiny objects into each movie and then later on decide what they did. It's a really easy way to just throw magic rings around and just seed that as something that maybe you can do something with later if you want to build to something. And I think when you look at the way that they laid the slate out, it's easy to see a potential build to something interesting. I don't think they're specifically building to something. I don't think they're making the same mistake the Zack Snyder movies did, you know, where they set out this entire mythology where everything was already figured out for what happened with Darkseid 5,000 years ago, to what happened in every single movie, to what was going to happen in the future, and everything had to have the same tone and the same setting. Wow, I can't believe that failed. You know, it feels like if they're doing any of this at all, it's the kind of thing where you can drop the idea around and then maybe someone can be a Red Lantern, maybe someone can be a Blue Lantern. You can drop that kind of stuff around and then come back to it and see if it can be a thing. Talk more about that. I'll circle back to that in a minute. But like, just throwing the idea out there, it's something that audiences can grab onto. The Authority. Holy shit. Cannot believe they're doing this. Very excited that they're doing this, but would not have expected this to be part of it. Jesus, wow. I mean, God. I mean, it's a great idea. I just can't believe they're doing it and that they're gonna make it part of the main thing. So this is probably worth like a, hey, this is what this is at some point down the line. So The Authority, if you've never heard of this, the one-line pitch, if you're into the genre at all, this is basically The Boys, but you get to root for the Seven. Like, it's not exactly that, probably doesn't really do it justice, but it's violent Justice League. Violent Justice League, but you're on their side. Like, it's almost a way to give, like, the Snyder Bros a movie for them, but as an actual good movie. These are, like, violent, nasty, cool characters in a dark storyline. It was not originally created as part of the DC Universe. It was later integrated in. Cool stuff. I'm psyched to fucking see what they do with this. This is something that if they pull it off and make it work, it's the definition of something that Marvel and Disney just can't deliver this. Like, not only is there not really an Authority equivalent in the Marvel canon that really fits in and works as well, Disney's never gonna make something like this and like stick it on Disney Plus or whatever. It's just not, there's no incentive for them to do it. So this is a perfect differentiation of here's what we do that's different. Very cool, very exciting. I'm thrilled. I think this is great. So remember when I said at the beginning, learn to read between the lines of publicity announcements? this would be one way to say, without really saying, we are still trying to work things out about whether or not Gal Gadot is still Wonder Woman. And in the meantime, well, shit. What else could we possibly do that's marketable within this IP about the magical island of immortal demigoddesses? I mean, sure, it would be nice to get an announcement as to what they're doing with that actual property, but until then, instead it's a Themyscira prequel. Game of Thrones, all lesbian edition. Ah, shucks, James, my birthday isn't even for another 20 days, and I didn't even get you anything. Alright, so the Batman stuff. Matt Reeves' The Batman gets to be its own thing. Maybe part 2 will be 9 hours and be tinted all blue this time. As for the one that's going to be in universe continuity, they're calling it The Brave and the Bold, which is an interesting nod to both the history of classic comics and the most recent fun version of a Batman cartoon. Although, I mean, Harley Quinn counts as fun. It's a different kind of fun. It's also great, and you should definitely be watching it. Notably, this is going to be emphasizing that it's a Batman and Robin movie, but they're skipping ahead 4 whole Robins. So they're not doing Dick, they're not doing Jason, they're not doing Tim, they're not doing Stephanie, spoiler. They're going right to Damian Wayne. If you don't follow comics or recent animation, Damian Wayne, also called Ibn al-Kufat, which is Arabic for son of the Bat, because he is the biological son of Bruce Wayne and Talia al Ghul. So he's also Ra's al Ghul's grandson. The gimmick here is that he was raised by the League of Assassins guys, goes to live with Bruce Wayne to learn to be not just an assassin. So what's fun there is that he is an inversion of the regular Batman and Robin dynamic, which basically means this sort of forces them to make a lighter Batman in a way, because the gimmick with Damian is that he is a little psychopath compared to Batman.
He doesn't deserve to breathe.
We don't kill.
I was taught you destroy your enemy.
That makes you like them.
It makes me better than them.
Time to retreat.
I'm no coward.
Don't be stupid.
Because whereas Bruce Wayne starts out as a normal kid who has a tragedy and goes nutsoid and grows up into Batman, Damian has been raised to be a little psychopath and has to learn to be basically a human being. So Batman is the one telling Robin to lighten the fuck up in this scenario. That's a lot of fun. And I think there's a lot of fun stuff you can do with that angle. They're also saying that this is the beginning of the Bat family as a franchise, hence calling it Brave and the Bold, not Batman, presumably also to differentiate it from the Batman franchise. I assume that means that the other Robins, possibly also a version of Batgirl, exists in this universe. That should be cool. Basically makes it a family franchise thing also. Also kind of feels like a shrewd, possibly cynical, but maybe also brilliant way to handle the do audiences in live action still not like the idea of Robin, because this is a version of Robin that it's okay to hate if you don't, because again, the gimmick with Damian is he at least starts out as an unlikable little shit.
You have only one servant?
He's not a servant. He's a friend.
Damien, this is a team effort. We need to be willing to accommodate others.
Nightwing said you were a princess. Exiled, no doubt.
Technically, it was a coup. And like it or not, I am the leader of this group.
As I see it, you're an alien with nowhere else to go.
Everyone needs a home, Damien. You included.
Thank you for chiming in, witch girl.
Heads up. Good reflexes.
What if I had missed?
It would have hurt.
So this is the Robin that it's okay for Batman to slap the shit out of in the training sense, you know, in the, hey, get the fuck over yourself, kid. I think that they will probably absolutely recreate the Batman slapping Robin meme so that can be in the trailer and everyone can go, oh my god, they did the thing, wow, we've got to post this on Twitter as a GIF. So that should be fun, interesting, it's different, much in the same way that I really hope he puts the red trunks back on Superman. I hope they do a blue and gray Batman. I know they won't, but if they did, I'd be so happy. It's one of those things, I know it doesn't matter, but it's like seeing Brooklyn in the Tanuki suit in the Mario trailer. It wouldn't change whether or not the movie's gonna be good, but it hits me right in the lizard brain and makes me go, yes, okay, yeah, this speaks to me. Booster Gold, cool. Almost no notes. Booster Gold is one of those great premises for one of these characters that you could do without a universe, just on its own, and it would be good, and I think people would still get it, and I can't believe they haven't done it before this, and I've been saying that for many, many years. The gimmick of Booster Gold is he's a dude who comes from the future. He's a loser there, but he's from the future where they have high technology and where they remember all of the superhero stuff that happened in like the 20th, 21st century. So he time travels back to the present, basically. He's from like the 25th century, and he comes back, brings technology back with him because he reasons, hey, I can use my knowledge of history and future technology to just be a superhero then. Except he's stupid and doesn't really know that much about history and isn't like a master of high-tech stuff or fighting or whatnot. I think that's fun. Like, a good comedy actor could make gold with this premise. Can't wait to see who they cast. I just think it's gonna be fun. I think this is a good premise. You'd have to try to fuck this up and not at least make a good B+ action comedy out of this. Okay, so Supergirl, cool, interesting. This is going to be based on Tom King's recent comics, which have a very different, like, spacey pulp adventure version of Supergirl. They're doing Superman. They can't just do, hey, we're also doing Superman, but same story, but female version, especially since they just concluded a TV show that ran that premise all the way through. So this is a space adventure show with basically a Supergirl doing sort of like a John Carter, Flash Gordon sort of adventures. It's an interesting series. I think people should check it out. I want to see what their take on is it. Here's my question. Are they gonna recast Supergirl? Because in the Flash movie, they have an actress playing Supergirl who almost all of the preview screenings and whatnot have agreed is a real standout character in this film, and who was supposed to have a big role in whatever the plans were for this franchise going forward. It's not clear whether or not she still has a place there. Her name is Sasha Calle. Is she getting recast? Is this going to be her part in these going forward? I'd really like to know what that is, because it seemed like she really put a lot of what was a very like rising career on hold to take this part in that first movie several years ago now, and then to wait and see whether or not she was going to still be part of this. You know, if it's not the take that they were looking for to go forward with this, it's not the take, but I would hope that at the very least there was some consideration given to whether or not she would be the one carrying this role forward. You know, let's see where that goes, but it'll be interesting to see. Swamp Thing. I love Swamp Thing. Plant guy, swamps, esoteric, Alan Moore, horror, action, sci-fi, fantasy, good stuff. There's been several different versions of Swamp Thing, including some very cool, interesting versions on movies, on TV. Here's what I want to know about this. Is this a big clue to what they're going to be doing? Because here's the thing about this. When I said about earlier that they might be seeding plot threads and whatnot via the Lantern storyline, Swamp Thing is a part of that in key points in some of the big Green Lantern crossover stories, specifically when the White Lanterns, the symbols of good and light and etc., come into things. Swamp Thing is actually one of the White Lantern characters in a key brief scene at one point, and I wonder if, since they're calling this first arc of it Gods and Monsters, and it seems like there's going to be some laid-in stuff about trying to build the bigger idea of magic, science, gods, mythology stuff into there. I wonder if putting Swamp Thing in here as the like the end capper, at least of the announced slate, because you know that the announcements never stay exactly what they were, and that there's always stuff that they haven't told us yet, and that there's always stuff that gets canceled or moved around or etc. So I really wonder, are they telling us more than they seem to be telling us? I wonder. I mean, I guess we'll see. I could be completely wrong. It feels like the Lanterns, Swamp Thing, it feels like there's some build in here. It seems like, okay, there might be. I'm just saying, if you know your DC stuff, Blackest Night, Brightest Day, the different ring cores, all of that. If I was setting up not a plan like the Zack Snyder things had, but the potential to scatter a bunch of maybes around for, hey, this would be one way to mash everything together and have events and crossover. That's one of the easy ways that I would build to it. It's sitting right there, and it's a great way to do it. different color guys, teams, space cops, and there's a zombie thing to deal with. That's an easy build to do. So how is this gonna go? How's it gonna work out? More detailed talk about that, I'm sure, will be had here, elsewhere, by many people to chew things over as these movies get closer, as other things happen. For now, that's what I think about the stuff coming out. I'm sure you will have many, many things to say about that in the comments. Yeah, just wanted to get that out and say what it was. I hope that good people get signed to make these, and I hope they make good movies out of them. That's the main thing. Any thoughts that I might have about, oh, I hope this person gets cast, I hope they wear this costume, I hope they do this type of movie, I hope they tell this story, all of that is a million times secondary to, I hope the movies are good, and I hope that talented, deserving people make them. That's the end of the story. That's the most important thing. All of the nerd bullshit is secondary ephemera to that. And that, I think, should always be the constant takeaway. I want very much for that to always be my continued takeaway going forward. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this one. Please subscribe to the Movie Bob Patreon. Like and subscribe this video. Please share the other videos. And I will see you next time on more stuff. I'm Bob, and that's The Big Picture.